Hi there, John McAdams here. Thanks a lot for joining me in this video where I share the story of an awesome elk hunt I just returned from with the R&K Hunting Company in Wyoming, where I used a Bergara Cima CF rifle chambered in 7mm PRC. By the way, this is the exact same rifle I took to Africa earlier in 2025. So let's dive into the beginning of this story that starts right after I arrive on the ranch. Okay, so I'm out here, my first afternoon out at the R&K Ranch in Wyoming. Left home real early, traveled all day. Now it's time to get ready to hunt tomorrow morning. At the range, checking 0. And fortunately, things are off to a great start. Put 2 shots into basically the same hole at 100 yards, almost no point of impact shift. So happy with that. Hit almost dead center at 320, moved out to 500, almost dead center, and then hit the vitals of a mule deer at 550. So we're off to a real good start, and I'm real excited to get started hunting out here. We had dinner in the lodge that evening. Then after dinner, Rob Massa, who is the general manager of this hunting outfitter, talked to all of the hunters about what to expect for the rest of the hunt. He also introduced everyone to their guides. I was paired with a guide named Brian Evanson. Brian has hunted with this outfitter for the past 15 years and really knows his stuff when it comes to elk hunting. He and I chatted a little that evening, and he shared our specific game plan for the next day. Then it was off to bed. We got up early the next morning, had breakfast, then all of the guides and hunters split up and headed their various ways. Brian, Forrest, who is the camera guy videoing this hunt, and I had a cold drive in the ATV up to where we were hunting that morning. Once we arrived, we started walking up towards a big meadow. The ground was frozen, so walking was noisy. It sounded like we were walking on a bunch of potato chips. During our walk towards that meadow, Brian would periodically stop and bugle. He didn't receive a response the first couple times he did that, but he heard an elk bugle back from the meadow we were walking to once we got within a couple hundred yards of it. Brian cow called back a few times as we started heading that direction. After we went about a mile, we encountered, I think, about 4 elk, and it looked like one bull, a couple cows with him, and they had heard us and they were moving off. Didn't get a good look at them. Then a short time later, we saw, I think, 3 bulls. They all looked pretty small. Once again, they all heard us and we're moving out. So we're off to a good start. This morning, we're going to sit on this meadow for a little while, call for a little bit glass, and just kind of hold tight here so we're not making a bunch of noise, and then see what happens later. Then we glassed from that meadow for most of the rest of the morning, but not much else happened. We eventually came down off that ridge late in the morning, headed back to camp for lunch. We went back out that afternoon with a new plan.
So tonight we're going to this valley where the elk like to travel through. They come from Utah and they'll come down and feed in this valley in the evenings. It's a natural crossing for them as well, so even if they're not feeding in this valley, they should be walking through this valley at some point tonight. So that's our plan tonight.
We walked in, got set up on the edge of the aspens, then waited for something to happen.
But like a lot of times they come out of this timber up here and they'll come down the drainage right here from that upper slope where that guy said he's seen them. They'll come right across this flat, come out into that, over there and back into those aspens, or they'll come out of this timber right anywhere right here, come down, or they'll even come out of that timber right there and they'll always come across this open. So if we see they're going to be in that open. But like I say, I mean, if something goes over there, you could easily move it out around that tree. I mean, because usually they're going to be facing away, and I can call to stop them, turn them, then hit them right there.
Something did happen, just not quite what we wanted though. As the sun set, Forrest spotted something big and black coming from the west. I initially got excited, but upon closer inspection, that turned out to be a moose. Another moose showed up a few minutes later. It was cool to see them, and they even sparred a little, but no elk went into that meadow that evening. We did briefly spot one bull elk on the edge of the meadow late in the evening, but that was it. He never went out into the actual clearing where we could get a good look at him.
Did you guys ever see that elk?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
I
Where
saw
did it end up going?
I don't know. He went to the evergreens and never saw him.
Yeah, I never seen him again. I just caught it. Like that moose just was focused over there, so I was like, there's gotta be something over there.
Yeah, after it got my attention, I looked up there and I saw it right as
It looked like it was pretty blonde, and usually that's typically a bull, but I mean,
I saw antlers.
yeah, oh, you did.
We headed back to camp that night, had dinner, went to bed. The next morning we were up early again, but we headed out in the ATV to a different valley that also gets a lot of elk activity. We parked near the top of a ridge, then we walked to the edge and started glassing. We saw lots of elk almost right off the bat.
So it was real early, first thing in the morning. We drove, parked just right over there, came out, walked. There's a big bottom, comes up the other side, and we saw about 15 elk had come out of it this morning. Looked like several bulls, bunch of cows. And then there's at least one elk still down in these willows and aspens that's bugling, so we're trying to see if we can find him. So you can see my left eye is all swollen and nasty. I woke up, thing was draining, just about glued shut, I had to wash it all out and everything. I can still see it okay, just looks like garbage. So hopefully this thing clears up over the next couple days, but definitely an interesting part of the experience.
But none of those elk offered a good shooting opportunity. So we packed up, kept driving, checking out different meadows. We saw some more elk, but we didn't have a good shot on any of them. Later, we saw about 7 bull elk feeding together a short distance later, but they were on private property that we couldn't hunt on. It looked like there was a nice bull with them, but we didn't have a shot and they eventually ran off. So we moved on again. We eventually made it back to where we hunted the previous morning. We got out, started walking towards that same meadow again. It was later in the morning and warmer, so we weren't as noisy this morning because the ground wasn't frozen anymore. Just like the previous day, we'd stop and bugle or cow call at the smaller meadows we encountered along the way. We made it to that big meadow that was our final destination without bumping any elk this morning, and we started to glass again. We spotted 2 bulls and a cow almost immediately after we arrived.
Yeah, there's some bulls right down here in the willow. Right down here.
I got him.
Although we could shoot him, but don't shoot him. Okay. I mean, that's what we want, a bull just like that broadside.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's lucky.
I had a perfect shot on one of them. He even stopped and turned broadside at 250 yards, but he wasn't very big. Brian told me to pass on him. That cow did hang around for a bit, but she eventually also moved off.
It was only like that wide, you know, and like all of his tines were small. He was just a raghorn. The other 4-point was like this wide. It, you know, looked like a frame of a 5-point, you know, like all of his tines were long, except his dagger, you know, that sword was, you know, big, but just nothing coming off of it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, one of those was definitely a lot bigger than the other ones.
Yeah, it's probably just a year older bull, or just better genetics, you know, but still like, you know, a young bull, you know, missing some stuff, you know, but you know, a couple of years he'll be a nice bull.
So have we seen a 6-point yet today?
Not today, nope.
All those bulls you think you saw were all 5 points or smaller?
It was hard because those ones were running through the
it was dark,
so it was tough to see those.
Yeah.
But the one that was bugling definitely was the herd bull. But that one that was by himself, I'll bet that wasn't 6-point. Because I mean, you see how big his body looked.
Yeah.
I mean, he had significantly bigger body. But.
Yeah, this was an interesting lesson this morning, and even though we didn't see anything out there immediately, quiet, you walk in, and then like they're way closer than you would think, and they had no idea that we were here until we stepped out and started getting set up over here.
But again, we could have killed, if that was the right bull, we could have killed it. I mean, we could have been done today if it was the right bull. But that's the thing, is we're in our 2nd morning of the hunt. We might as well hunt rather than, you know, I mean, you've shot a 4x4 before, you know, I mean, that was you know, it's just a 4-point bull, you know what I mean? We want a decent 5-point. I mean, we don't even want a 5-point like this, you know what I mean? We want a decent 5-point that's a good representative of what we got, and then go from there. But
yeah, definitely.
We were getting closer now. That wasn't a big bull, but I had a legit shot on this elk I could have easily killed him. Later that morning, we hiked up higher on that mountain in that same area, and we made a big loop back towards the ATV, and we bumped another bull in the process on the edge of a different meadow.
Okay. I can't tell how big he is. He's bigger than everything we've seen so far this morning. Yeah, he's a shooter.
We had some problems getting a shot through all of the aspens though. We had to move a couple of times to get a shot, but he was also moving, and he would always move out of my shooting window before I could shoot.
There's a tree in the way. We need to move.
Yeah, move your left, move your left.
This happened a couple of times. Each time we would reposition, get ready to shoot again.
Now he's just behind those trees. Just breathe, take your time.
We finally got set up in the perfect spot, and we just needed him to take one more step to expose his vitals.
Come on.
But he didn't cooperate, and then instead of taking that extra step, he just turned and walked straight away from us. That was frustrating, but still fun, and it felt like we were getting closer and closer, because this was a nice bull. This was the biggest bull we had seen to this point in the hunt. We went back to the lodge for lunch again. We had a plan to go back to that same area that afternoon, but Brian changed the plan after getting some intel about a big herd of elk in another spot from some other guides who had hunted them that morning.
So we went out to a new place this afternoon where they saw a bunch of elk this morning. We got out here, parked, and we immediately saw about 5 elk right on the other side of a canyon. So we're trying to make a plan, see what we need to do about it.
We headed down into the canyon towards our glassing knob. We had to stop a couple of times when we spotted elk on the opposite slope to let them finish moving up into their bedding cover. 2 other guides joined Brian, Forrest, and I this afternoon. A guy named Finney and another guide named Carson.
So there's a big group of elk all the way up on the other side of this canyon from us, and they're slowly moving up into the thick timber up there. Normally, right around dark, they'll come down out of that, cross this canyon, go up on the other side. There's a nice knob for us to come sit on over here, right in the middle of the action where they normally are coming right through there. So hopefully we'll be able to get set up there, and then we'll have elk coming right by us this evening and get a nice shot at a good one. Okay, so we're set up on the side of this canyon just like we planned on it, and got nice clear field of view, nice clear shooting lanes out to about 300-400 yards on the other side where we saw the elk disappear into the timber earlier. We've been sitting here maybe 10 minutes and we already heard a bull elk rip off the bugle. So that's indicative of them starting to wake up, finish with their bedding, and start getting ready to move back down this way for their evening meal. So we'll see how it goes.
Cows, calves, and young bulls started moving down and across the opposite slope as the afternoon progressed. That bull kept bugling up higher. He eventually made his appearance a few minutes later. I was on the gun, the safety was off, and I was ready to shoot, but he kept stopping with his vitals obscured by branches or trees. I didn't feel comfortable shooting, so I waited. He eventually moved off into some even thicker timber. Darkness was fast approaching, and we were afraid he would move off with the rest of the herd and not present a shot that evening. That's when Brian decided to change things up and start bugling and cow calling at that bull. The bull replied with bugles of his own, and he slowly headed back our direction. Then he finally stepped back out of the thick timber. I got back on the gun and I got set up to shoot. Once again, his vitals were covered with branches, so I needed him to move.
If you move just a tiny bit, I could shoot.
He turned as if he were leaving, and Brian went crazy on the call to get him to stop. That is when I finally got the shot I'd been waiting for all day.
He's down. He's
Yes!
Stand him.
I was able to thread the needle with that bullet and hit him squarely through both lungs and the heart. And he didn't go far at all after that shot.
Good call, brother. Dude, that was awesome, dude.
Oh, man.
Dude, that was sick, dude. That was sick.
He couldn't take it, dude. He couldn't take it. That's the way we do it, brother.
Man, we had to thread the needle with that one. Yeah. My God. Dude,
Nice job.
that was a team effort, man.
All five of us, man. All five of us had contributed to this, man, for sure.
I mean, you spotting them, you pointing me into the right spot and giving me the range and all that stuff, and then you just
Sucking
coaxing
him out a little
out.
bit, yeah.
After that, we packed up and walked over to him.
Man. Wow. Man, what a nice bull. Jeez. God, he's... Man, this was a great hunt. This was an awesome, awesome hunt. I had so much fun. And it has a great ending too. Jeez.
Well, I mean, we were, with this bull just today, we set up in range of 4 bulls.
Yeah.
Just today. So, obviously this is the biggest one that we've had in range. And you smoked him.
That was, man, I threaded the needle between a bunch of limbs and stuff. Like,
oh, I mean, look around. I mean, your shooting windows are very small, and you had the right shooting window.
Jeez, man.
And just hammered him.
God, he did not go far at all.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Jeez.
Total 5 yards up and around and crashed.
And then fell back down because he was standing right here when we shot him,
Yeah.
right?
We spent a few minutes admiring what a beautiful elk he was, taking some pictures, and then the real work began with cutting him up and packing him out. Luckily, there were 5 of us, and we got that entire elk out in just one trip.
Hand. There we go. Okay.
That was a heavy one. Make sure you get that in there. Just kidding.
What you think, Brian?
It was awesome, man. You gotta love it when a plan comes together. Got in here, seen a pile of elk. First, we heard them bugle, like I was saying. We're gonna hear them before we see them, you know. Yeah. We know right where to go. Carson actually spotted a pretty nice bull up the drainage, and we were actually gonna make a move on that, and then we heard that bull bugle, and the other bull kind of disappeared on us for a minute. And so we said, hey, we might as well just set up for this one. And that was the right call. Before long, cows started filtering out everywhere, and this bull kept bugling, and All of his cows came into range and gave us great opportunities, but he never did. He stayed up top. And then when all of his cows got away and they got way up high, we were able to call this bull down. And he came down and gave John one opportunity, and that's all he needed. He had a tight window, but here it is. I mean, obviously the shot was perfect. Lungs and the heart blew it out. So
Yeah, this was an awesome day of hunting. We had some close calls this morning, and you know, we said after one of them, like, you know, it was so close we almost pulled it off, but I have a feeling that something better is going to happen this afternoon, or something better did happen this afternoon. It would have been really cool to shoot that elk this morning, but this was even better. It's a nicer bull, really cool circumstances, having it all come together like that. Because I mean, we watched these elk for what, for like an hour after they all started coming out?
yeah,
Yeah, like they were out for a long time, and he just never gave me a clear shot. And then Brian was able to call him, and it was almost like a textbook deal you hear about with you know, calling, you know, bugling and cow calling and all of this, and it coaxed him out just far enough into just a narrow window where I was able to thread the needle and hit him. And I shot, it was about 330 yards thereabouts. I could see blood through the scope as I came back down out of recoil, and before I could get back on him to shoot again, he basically just went in a little circle just a couple of yards and fell almost exactly where I shot him. And then we just had not a super long pack out, but it was a heavy pack out, and it was a steep pack out. But it's all done now. We're back at the buggy, and now it's just time to celebrate.
embrace the suck. We definitely embrace the suck.
Right.
And a huge thanks to Carson
Everybody, Fanny.
and Finney and everybody. Got it knocked out.
Man, it was all five of us. Took all five of us.
Good job, fellas.
For sure, all five of us.
That's fun.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Let's go get some dinner.
What time is it, man? That was an awesome elk hunt. I had a lot of fun. I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but I used Remington Premier Long Range ammunition with the 175 grain Speer Impact bullet on this hunt. And as you saw, that bullet put a hurting on that elk. I have shared a post on Patreon with my supporters there that shows more details about the terminal performance of that bullet, to include photos of the damage it inflicted to the vitals of that elk. If you like the work I do on YouTube, I would love it if you would support me on Patreon. You will get access to that post plus a bunch of other bonuses I have for my Patreon supporters. There is a link in the episode description and in the pinned comment where you can get to my Patreon page. I would also like to extend a special thanks to the folks at Bergara and the R&K Hunting Company in Wyoming, both of whom were instrumental in making this hunt happen. I had an awesome time up there with Brian, Finney, Carson, Forrest, and the rest of the crew. I saw a bunch of elk. I could not have asked for a better ending to my hunt. If you are looking for a great elk hunt, check out the R&K Hunting Company in Wyoming. I had a fantastic experience with them. Their lodge is comfortable, their food is good, their guides are skilled and knowledgeable, and of course the elk hunting there is fantastic. And don't worry, it is not necessary to have a bunch of elk points to draw a tag there. They will even handle the application process for you. Their contact details are in the episode description and in the pinned comment. They will take great care of you, and in addition to these bull elk hunts, they also offer cow elk hunts, mule deer hunts, and hunts for pronghorn antelope. And when you get in touch with them, make sure you let them know that you heard about them from me, John McAdams, on the Big Game Hunting Podcast. Also, shoot me an email, john@thebiggamehuntingblog.com. If you end up booking with them, I would love to hear how your hunt goes. And finally, make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day and good hunting.